Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning? Perfect. Good morning, Vimbai, our favorite Niger wife. Good morning, Rufy on fire.
Morning.
How are you this morning? All right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. In the United States, where the National Transportation Safety Board on Wednesday released its final report on the February 9, 2024 helicopter crash that killed former Access Holdings CEO Herbert Wigwe, his wife, Doreen, their son, Chizi, and former NGX chairman, Abimbola Ogunbanjo. The NTSB concluded that the primary cause of the crash was the pilot's decision to fly visually into poor weather conditions, resulting to a spatial disorientation and a loss of control. The report also cited inadequate safety oversight by the helicopter operator, including failures in pre-flight risk assessments, maintenance logging, and adherence to safety protocols, a key factor that the helicopter's malfunctioning radar altimeter, which the pilot was aware, but proceeded with the flight. Despite failed repair attempts, the helicopter operating under visual flight rules entered conditions requiring instrument navigation, leading to the fatal crash. This was such, heartbreaking news when we got it yesterday in the media. There was no communication, like they said, between the pilot and the flight following, or regarding the altimeter during that whole incident. The question was, who ordered the pilot to fly? And I had a conversation with the family, and they have released a statement, and I'll read that statement. They wrote, "The family of Pastor Shingu Wigwe have seen the report of investigations into the circumstances surrounding the ill-fated helicopter crash, of which claimed the lives of Herbert, Chizoba, and Chizi Wigwe in the media. It is traumatic that such information is shared without consideration for the family, especially aged parents, orphan children, and surviving siblings. The aviation industry is governed by very strict regulations and practices to ensure the safety of flights. It was negligent to operate the flight when the malfunctioning altimeter had been identified. It is imperative that all circumstances surrounding the operation of the flight should be interrogated. It is known that fatalities in aviation accidents are often absolute. We are considering the report and shall react as necessary and appropriate." This was signed by Emeka Wigwe for the family. Vimbai, I don't know if you have had a chance to speak on this matter. I'd like your thoughts on it. There's so many questions as to why the flight went on, knowing that the helicopter had issues.
Yeah. Just hearing this statement, it reminds me of how trauma is. The thing with trauma, right, is that when you hear about the thing that traumatized you, or when you get more information about it, it's almost like living through it again. So I really feel their pain, because it's almost receiving this report and most likely also, engaging with it in the public fora. Of course, we know NTSB wouldn't necessarily send it privately to anybody. They publish all of their findings. So for them to wake up and see this published, I can't imagine the trauma around that. Having said that, Oji, sometimes we mistakenly assume that when we are overseas, things are better, more controlled, the safety standards are higher. And the honest truth is, this is a reminder for all of us that it doesn't matter where we are in the world, we just can't be too vigilant. This reminds me of Kobe Bryant and these helicopter crashes. There was another one just a few weeks ago, you remember, in New York. These helicopter crashes in the United States are becoming far too regular. And there is a crisis in the sector. It's very clear, because you can't continue having all of these fatalities and nothing happens. Something's got to give. So this is devastating. Even if the family takes action, for me personally, I'm not really for the family taking action, because it's just reliving that trauma. It's scratching the wound over and over. But whatever action they take, I just hope that they can get some closure and just continue to seek some type of solace and peace in this tragedy.
Absolutely. The family has the option to sue. I know you want to speak quickly.
Yes. I want to talk about, I had commented on this earlier, and I had said that safety is the most important thing in aviation.
Yes.
You don't compromise it.
Yes.
And, I can see that line in the statement by the family. Because when you provide service for people, you have something they call duty of care. You have a duty of care to ensure that nothing happens to that person. Either you are running a hospital or you are running a helicopter business. When you breach that duty, and it can be established that you did not focus on that duty of care. Lord Wright, in Macmillan case, and Apata JSC, in the Mogalu case, Odinaka versus Mogalu, made a point that, look, you are liable under the strict law of a tort. I think the family should sue and claim damages. So. Because this is a tragedy that affects everybody.
Absolutely.
All the people who knew Herbert Wigwe and his family. No, they should sue them and claim damages. Because that's the third level, under failure to observe a duty of care.
Yes, duty of care, most important.
It was just purely negligence, but I think investigation should be done further that who authorized the aviation team, the helicopter team, to go ahead, despite the fact that a text message was sent at the altimeter. And you know what the altimeter does in a plane? Shows you altitude.
Yes.
You cannot fly a helicopter without a altimeter.
Yes.
It's like leading you to the slaughter slab.
That's what I said earlier.
So who pushed that aviation company to continue with that flight when the altimeter was bad? Because all of these correspondence were encapsulated in a text message that showed the problem had not been solved. So who pushed them to go ahead? Who made the booking? Who saw to the booking happening? Who instructed that flight to go ahead? Because there is no way an aviation company worth its salt has problems with altimeter that it will not report back to the client and say, this is what we're facing. We cannot fly. An abort mission. But like you also said, America is draconian for very, unsafe activity like that.
That's what's been going on lately.
That's the case. So let us also know. As regards this case, what is happening, and I want the family to, but apart from even suing, there should also be an investigation. They should be able to get a private investigation, forensic experts now go through what really transpired. There's more than what meets the eyes in the Herbert Wigwe case. And,
we're getting questions as to, the maintenance manager. Why did he order that helicopter to fly, knowing that there was, and he's actually the only surviving, person in that whole incident. I believe he should be queried. The helicopter company also need to provide us with a robust statement, taking away the lives of our stars, the chairman of the NGX group, the family of Herbert Wigwe, what they're going through at this moment. Quickly, really, really sad incident. Again, may their souls rest in peace. I hope that, they get some succor in the near future. Well, in another development, Atiku Issa, the factional president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, who accused President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's son, Seyi Tinubu, of kidnapping and torturing him over his refusal to accept a 100 million naira bribe to support President Tinubu, has now released a statement on Facebook apologizing to Seyi Tinubu. He stated that he was misled by Ladoja Olushola into believing that the president's son was responsible for orchestrating the attacks against him. Issa made the damaging statements on April 30th during a press conference in Abuja, saying that the Minister of Youth Development had offered him the 100 million naira bribe and that he was subsequently attacked and abducted. His apology to Seyi Tinubu on Facebook has been met with reactions. Well, let me read a part of his post before I take this comment. Well, Issa wrote on Facebook, allegedly, that it has become imperative to note that the offer of 100 million naira, which was alleged was made to me to support President Tinubu, was clearly untrue, as Ladoja Olushola, Who was desperate to get me out of my legitimate position as the duly elected president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, fed me the lies and half-truths for the sole purpose of achieving his selfish agenda of taking over the reins of the student body through the back doors. It was also Ladoja Olushola who warned me that Mr. Seyi Tinubu could order my killing and thereafter instruct the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun, to bury the matter. I also stated, among other things, that Seyi Tinubu led thugs to the venue of my inauguration. This was very untrue. I made these claims owing to the picture of Seyi Tinubu painted to me by Ladoja Olushola, who swore to me that Seyi was doing everything to ensure I am not alive to serve my tenure as NANS president. In fact, I later found out that Mr. Seyi was nowhere near the venue. And this is supposed to be coming from Comrade Atiku Issa on Facebook. Rufai, when I read this statement, I said the statement is incomplete. He did not explain to me as to us as to who actually ordered the beating. Who beat him up? I mean, we need more, from him if, he actually put out the statement. We have covered this story at length. But, we got a statement, I believe, from, the NANS group. And if I can read that statement, it wrote, despite the recent public outcry about the abduction of Comrade Atiku Issa Abubakar and the disruption of the inauguration of NANS executives at Wells Carlton Hotel, Asokoro, Abuja, Comrade Issa Atiku Abubakar has not been seen in public. He has been detained in the hospital and all his means of communication has been confiscated by the Department of State Services, DSS. As I speak with you now, he is still convalescing. I want the general public to disregard any statement of apology purportedly emanating from him, as this is coming from a coerced and subjugated comrade. We will provide updates about the incidents as the events unfold, and we want to implore all Nigerians to speak up at this precarious period of repression. And this statement is from Orowole Eniola Awoyemi, and he is the NANS PRO. Dr. Bati, are you laughing at my English? I did it well, didn't I? My Yoruba. I'm doing well. I can't be sitting with two Ogun. Yes, exactly. Two Ogun greats and not be able to speak Yoruba. But this is really a sad incident, Rufai. We're getting these two reports now, one from the PRO, and then we're getting a Facebook post, not a video, not a comment, not a voice note from Issa.
So a couple of things. I mean, it speaks for itself. A man has been bruised. He's in hospital recovering. He put out this message. He said all his phones were with DSS and all of that. All of a sudden, you see a message from him saying otherwise. Then who beat him in the first place?
Who beat him?
So
that's
today,
my own. Who beats this man?
We begged Carlton Wells here to please show us the CCTV footage. Let's have a full CCTV footage. We've not been able to see anything for that. I called for, when I was making my, my depositions here, a full independent investigation without the police, without the DSS. Because when you say the DSS are taking this up and all of that, they are already part of this case. I want something devoid of them. I know there are security agencies, but something devoid of them. And now you're seeing a quick rebuttal that, hey, this is intimidation. Somebody could write something through the page, except we have a full-on deposition from the man that was beating himself. I will not believe any apology that was written. You see, it just shows high-handedness in this country. We must be able to get to the end of the matter. And why is NAS featuring prominently in the affairs of politics? That shows that Nigeria is already being bastardized. If it's supposed to be a student union to fight for the rights of bodies. See, if politicians want to do politics in the university level, they should set up APC youth wing in universities. Like they do in other parts. They should set up PDP youth wing in universities. So the Conservative Party in England has a youth wing in Oxford. Most of the people that eventually become prime ministers, they were members of the Conservative Party from university days. Let us leave independent associations away from politics because all of this is connected to 2027. So except we have an independently verified case here, apart from the security agencies, they will not move further. But it is sad that now we have brought this heinous politics and dirty policy we play into NANS and student affairs.
Unnecessary.
That's just it.
Well, we want to know who beats Comrade Issa. That really is what it is, and we want to see him in public. We'll take another story now. Finally, supporters of activist Martins Osher, also known as Very Dark Man, are celebrating after the activist was released from the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission after being held for 5 days. The EFCC said VDM was arrested due to multiple petitions alleging financial crimes and that he had previously failed to honor invitations for questioning. Well, here's the moment. Some protesters who took to the streets to demand for his release heard that he had been released. Let's take a look. Good news there for the supporters of VDM. They call the Rattels, just so you know. Did you know that? Yeah.
I learned this yesterday.
You learned it yesterday. They call the Rattels.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that the EFCC has listened and they have released him, and we'll follow up on the story. And yesterday we were having that conversation about how horrible it is for the EFCC to have detained him without releasing a statement. They released him at this moment. Your
yes.
comment.
I think one of the major things that sticks out to me is sort of the culture of catch and release that we've developed. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I'll say I think it's very important for us to be able to see this case reach its logical end.
Absolutely.
Because whether it be VDM or any other personality, there are so many cases sort of lingering in the EFCC where we see that people are arrested, they are detained and so forth, they are questioned, and then we never hear about it again, or it resurfaces much later. So the catch and release, for me, I would urge the EFCC, please, continue to carry us along in these cases and in your investigations so that it doesn't seem as though you catch people and then, once they are released, their docket just stays in a corner somewhere. Then the other thing is that, so he's released on, his lawyer says there's no conditions to his bail. However, his car and his phone are still with the EFCC. And they also made special mention to Femi Falana-San and said despite all that has happened between them in the past, he's said to have also made some appeals to EFCC as well. So really, I think that was very magnanimous of him. Yeah. And last but not least, Deji Adeyanju made a comment because there was conversation around the fact that this felt like a red herring. It felt like a distraction to just take Nigerian youth's attention away from the issues that matter and keep them busy with something. Well, the lawyer has come out to say that, well, that's not the case. Anyway, he's out now, so those who want to save Nigeria should go on and do so. But I think you can't blame people for also having these sentiments because sometimes we've seen all sorts over the past few years. But, happy he's home.
In fact, you wanted to make a comment.
You see, the truth has to be said. I think we need to drum it into some people's heads. This matter is not about VDM.
No, it really hasn't been.
It's about the high-handedness in Nigeria that all of us can be a victim to one day. My boss that I cherish so much, Prince Oluka Obaegbana, will always tell the story of Frank Omenka.
Yeah.
When Omenka was riding road shoulder everywhere, he had the power then. He was jailing a lot of media people. But when Omenka needed help, that same system that supported Omenka to commit atrocity, that system came for Omenka.
All right.
Pretty much reminds me of Father Nemola. First they came, for some people I didn't speak up for them. When it was time to speak, when they came for me, nobody was left to speak up. And that's why I salute Femi Falana. Yeah. He did what a lot of people cannot do. Speak up.
All right.
Just say it the way it is. Right. Until date, we are still waiting on the EFCC to please bring out those charges because we want accountability across board.
Yes.
A lot of people claim he said there's corruption in the EFCC. Yesterday, I posted a picture. As at the days of Magu said that there are bad eggs in the EFCC. Yeah. They've always made allegations of bad eggs here and there. What we are saying is, EFCC, please detail whatever you have on him, what the petitioners wrote. Let us juxtapose what is available. What we are just saying is, whatever the petitioners wrote, did it warrant you to come and gestaporically take somebody away that way? Because what will happen is that one of a sudden, they will just come and pick somebody. Maybe we will be live on the show. They will just come pick somebody.
No.
You're saying.
Well, Rufai, like you said.
You're saying God forbid.
Like you said yesterday.
God forbid.
Like you said
Who will have thought that in a democracy this will be happening?
Well,
don't say God forbid. Speak against evil. Fight it.
It's been going on.
Fight it.
Well, like you said even yesterday, that the current EFCC chairman did say that there are bad eggs within the EFCC as well. But you know, like you said, they seized VDM's phone. We are waiting for content. We are waiting to hear what really happened. What happened to him in the EFCC custody? What he did? We're waiting for the charges from the EFCC. Well, kudos to Femi Falana as well, and great that VDM is back. We'll take another story now. The 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has responded to Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's criticism of his remarks about Nigeria at St. Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. Sanwo-Olu had criticized Peter Obi's remarks about the country's worsening state, arguing that such criticisms tarnish Nigeria's image abroad, while Peter Obi defended his statements during the Day of Tribute in honor of the late Edwin Clark in Abuja on Wednesday, citing statistics from the World Bank and UNICEF, highlighting the high poverty rate in rural Nigeria and the large number of malnourished children. He also questioned whether speaking the truth constituted demarketing the country. Let's take a look.
We're in this country when people were protesting when there was no need to protest under Jonathan. Where are those protesters? Have they died? Where are they? So why are we saying it should not be in vain? They can increase fuel from 8 to 7 naira to 120, and people were protesting in this country. And when it was 900, they were not protesting. Are they dead? So why are we saying it should not be in vain? People protested when Naira was 180 and when it was 1,005, they're not protesting. Are they dead? So let's not say it should not be in vain. I spoke a few days ago and people said I'm demarketing Nigeria. When is truth being demarketed? World Bank have just shown that 75% of Nigerians in rural areas are poor. Is World Bank demarketing Nigeria? UNICEF 2 days ago released that Nigeria now have over 2 million malnourished children, the second highest in the world. Are they demarketing Nigeria? Let's face the reality. Their labor is in vain. We have a country now that is not democratic. We are not a democratic country. Let's tell ourselves the truth.
Well, all right, Dr. Bati, before I come to you in the meantime, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has reacted to the federal government's approval of the Nigeria First economic policy, which bans the use of foreign goods and prioritizes locally made products and services in government procurement. In a statement released on Wednesday by his special assistant on public communication, Frank Shwaibu, Atiku challenged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to lead by example, starting by trading his Escalade for a Nigerian-made vehicle like Innoson or Nord. Frank Shaibu wrote in part, "We challenge President Tinubu to stop the noise and trading his beloved Escalade for an Innoson, Nord, or any made-in-Nigeria car. That single act will do more to promote local industry than 1,000 policy memos. Let's see the ministers, those shameless Rolls-Royce connoisseurs, sweat it out in Nigeria-made vehicles too. Or is Nigeria First only for the masses?" And speaking of double standards, it's time Mr. President shelves his love affair with Paris and London. If he's serious about patriotism, his next vacation should be at Obudu Cattle Ranch, Yankari Game Reserve, or Erinjesha Waterfalls. Nigeria is beautiful, unless, of course, the president thinks otherwise. More importantly, the era of jetting off for medical tourism while preaching self-reliance must end. We demand that President Tinubu champion of Nigeria First conduct all future medical checkups at LUTH, National Hospital Abuja, UCH Ibadan, or even the 41 billion Naira Akwa Ibom world-class hospital by Uncommon Transformer in Uyo. If those hospitals are good enough for ordinary Nigerians, they should be good enough for their commander-in-chief. Anything less is sheer hypocrisy. This government's addiction to foreign luxuries while demanding sacrifice from suffering Nigerians is the height of insincerity. True leadership isn't photo ops or sound bites. It's setting the tone by example. Nigeria deserves real commitment, not this never-ending charade. Frank Shaibu. You know, I always enjoy Frank Shaibu's piece. He has a way with words. But most of the things he said in his tweet, we have discussed them at length on this table, Dr. Abati. Nigeria First policy, demarketing Nigeria by Peter Obi. Those two stories.
I mean, what Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar said in that statement issued by Frank Shaibu, I don't think you can argue with anything that he has said. Leadership by example. I mean, you can't argue with that. If the president says Nigeria first, let him show the example. That's simply what he's saying. If you want to go on a vacation, go to Obudukatu Ranch, go to Yankari Game Reserve. If you need to go to hospital, go to the hospitals in Nigeria. Maybe that will lead to the transformation of those hospitals, you know, some of which have become mortuaries, you know, and the leaders don't want to go there. And then, you know, vehicles. There are local manufacturers of vehicles.
Innocent,
yeah.
Yes.
Are we supporting Innocent enough? We have one or two governors that ride Innocent vehicles. Maybe even at the federal government level, we should have that. The Pojo Company of Nigeria, in those days, I think it was the Obasanjo government in its first coming as military head of state that said, look, the official car should be Pojo. And that was to help the factory in Kaduna.
Yes.
And everybody, the biggest car you could ride as a government official was Pojo 505, they call it, right? Okay, later there was 605, there was 405. Okay, yeah. I once used it.
504.
504.
504, yeah.
Okay, that was the one I used.
Yeah.
I had that at the time as official car at the Guardian.
Yeah.
So you can't argue with that.
Yes.
Quickly, Mr. Peter Obi. There's nothing Mr. Peter Obi has said. He went to Johns Hopkins University and he said poverty rate in Nigeria was over 40%.
Yes.
And that, you know, government must focus on poverty. After he spoke, I think it was the World Bank that came up and said, in fact, rural poverty in Nigeria is over 75%.
That's it.
Mr. Peter Obi said there are 2 million malnourished children. In fact, UNICEF came and said that Nigeria has the most malnourished children, you know, in terms of the listing in the world. And so, you know, these are facts.
Yes.
These are truths.
Yes, absolutely.
And I said at the time you first brought this story that I was surprised that Governor Sanwo-Olu, you know, will be arguing that people should not criticize Nigeria. It's very unusual for him to engage in altercation with any other political figure. But the truth is the truth. And what Mr. Obi said has even been confirmed by World Bank, by IMF, by UNICEF.
Right.
So where is his offense?
Well, where is his offense? We must always speak truth to power. I wish you had time for our good news report. I'll bring that tomorrow. I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.